Hello, the unspoken woman. Welcome to the channel. Never fear the loudest person in the room. Pay attention to the one who never feels the need to announce who she is. That's usually where the real mystery begins. Have you ever met a woman who somehow leaves people scratching their heads without even trying? She isn't playing hard to get. She isn't chasing attention. Yet somehow people keep trying to figure her out long after she's walked away. That's the strange thing about a Sigma female. She doesn't confuse people by speaking in riddles. She confuses them by behaving in ways that most people never expect. Psychologists have long known that our brains are wired to predict other people's behavior. We feel comfortable when we can guess what someone will do next. But when someone refuses to follow those invisible social scripts, the brain keeps searching for answers. That's exactly why Sigma females seem unforgettable. They don't fit the patterns people are used to. And let's be honest, some people have probably started a group chat just to ask, what is going on with her? Meanwhile, she's probably at home deciding whether to make coffee or ignore her phone for the next 6 hours. In this video, we're uncovering 12 weird things Sigma females do that confuse everyone. These aren't the tired stereotypes you've heard 100 times before. They're subtle, unexpected behaviors that reveal how differently they think, observe, and move through the world. By the end of this video, you may realize that what most people call weird is actually a level of self-awareness that few people ever develop. So stay with me because the later points become even more surprising, and you might recognize someone you know, or perhaps yourself. Number 1, they quietly test reality instead of believing people. A Sigma female has an unusual habit that most people never notice. She doesn't judge you by your first impression, your confidence, or even your words. She judges you by what stays the same over time. While others are busy deciding whether they like someone after one good conversation, she's quietly collecting patterns. She's watching whether your actions match your promises, whether your mood changes depending on who's watching, and whether your values disappear the moment they're inconvenient. This isn't because she's paranoid. It's because she's learned that people often reveal their true character in small, ordinary moments rather than dramatic ones. Anyone can sound honest for an hour. Anyone can look kind when life is easy. The real question is whether that behavior survives pressure, disappointment, success, or temptation. That's why she rarely rushes into trusting someone. She knows that consistency is something you can't fake forever. Eventually, the mask gets heavy, and people return to who they really are. What makes this so confusing is that she doesn't announce she's observing you. She won't interrogate you or challenge every story you tell. In fact, she may seem completely relaxed. Meanwhile, she's quietly comparing today's actions with yesterday's, looking for gaps that most people overlook. By the time others finally realize someone isn't who they claim to be, the Sigma female usually isn't surprised. She saw the cracks long before they became impossible to hide. While everyone else was listening to promises, she was paying attention to proof. That's why her trust is slow to earn. But once you've earned it honestly, it's one of the rarest gifts she can give. Number 2, they become less emotional the more serious the situation gets. One of the strangest things about a Sigma female is that the bigger the problem becomes, the quieter she often gets. While everyone around her is reacting, raising their voices, or letting panic take over, she seems to slow down. It isn't because she doesn't care. In fact, she may care more than anyone else in the room. She simply refuses to let emotions make decisions that logic should handle. This often leaves people completely confused. They expect tears, anger, or dramatic reactions, but instead they get calm questions, thoughtful silence, and practical solutions. Some even mistake her composure for being cold or heartless. They couldn't be more wrong. She's not ignoring her emotions. She's placing them on hold until the situation is under control. A Sigma female understands that panic has never solved a crisis. Strong feelings can blur judgment, but a clear mind sees details that everyone else misses. While others are focused on the noise, she's already looking for the quickest way out of the problem. Ironically, when everything finally settles down, that's when her emotions may quietly appear. She allows herself to feel only after she's done what needed to be done. It's a habit that surprises people because it goes against what most expect. In a world where emotions often lead, she lets clear thinking take the first step. That's why people often underestimate her in difficult moments, until they realize she was the most dependable person in the room all along. Number 3. They randomly disappear after learning everything they needed. One of the most confusing things a Sigma female does is leave without giving people a dramatic reason. One day she's involved in the conversation, showing up to events or actively participating, and the next she's simply gone. No argument, no announcement, no emotional farewell. To everyone else, it feels sudden. To her, the decision was made long before anyone noticed. The truth is, she isn't driven by excitement alone. She's driven by growth and understanding. Once she feels she's learned everything a person, group, or environment has to teach her, something changes inside. The mystery is gone, the lessons are clear, and staying begins to feel like repeating the same chapter over and over again. People often assume they offended her or did something wrong. They replay conversations, search for hidden meanings, and wonder why she pulled away. Most of the time it isn't personal. She simply refuses to remain in places where she's no longer growing, challenged, or inspired. What makes this habit so unusual is that she doesn't leave with bitterness. She doesn't need to burn bridges or create enemies to move on. She can appreciate what a person or experience gave her while still recognizing it's time for the next chapter. That's why her exits are so difficult for others to understand. Most people wait until they're unhappy before they leave. A Sigma female often leaves while everything still looks perfectly fine on the surface. She has learned that staying too long in the wrong season can quietly stop personal growth. So when she knows her journey has reached its natural ending, she walks away without looking back, leaving everyone else wondering what they completely missed. Number 4. They can respect someone they don't even like. Most people assume that if you respect someone, you must also like them. A Sigma female doesn't think that way. In her mind, respect and personal feelings are two completely different things. She can disagree with someone's personality, dislike the way they communicate, or choose not to spend time with them, yet still admire their discipline, resilience, or ability to keep their word. This surprises people because they expect emotions to decide everything. They expect loyalty to come with friendship and admiration to come with affection. A Sigma female separates those ideas. She believes that someone's character should be judged fairly, even if they aren't her favorite person. That's why she doesn't waste time pretending. If someone is hard-working, honest, or dependable, she'll acknowledge it without forcing herself to become close to them. At the same time, she won't overlook bad behavior simply because she likes someone personally. She holds everyone to the same standard, including the people she cares about. This way of thinking makes her difficult to read. People often wonder how she can compliment someone she avoids or refuse to defend someone she calls a friend. The answer is simple. She values principles more than personal feelings. To a Sigma female, respect is earned through actions, not chemistry. Friendship may come and go, emotions may change, but character leaves a lasting impression. That's why she gives credit where it's due, even when her heart has no interest in getting any closer. Number 5. They notice what people never say. Most people listen carefully to what others are saying. A Sigma female pays just as much attention to what never gets said. She has learned that silence often hides more truth than words ever could. While everyone else is focused on the conversation, she's quietly noticing the missing pieces. She notices the question someone keeps avoiding. She notices the topic that always changes whenever it's mentioned. She notices the dream someone never talks about, the apology that never comes, and the emotion someone keeps burying behind a smile. To her, these quiet gaps are rarely accidents. They often point to fear, insecurity, regret, or something a person isn't ready to face. This doesn't mean she assumes the worst about people. She simply understands that what someone avoids can reveal just as much as what they openly share. Sometimes the loudest message is hidden inside the silence. That's why people often feel like she sees through them. She isn't reading minds. She's noticing patterns that others overlook. While most people are impressed by confident speeches or charming personalities, she's paying attention to the pauses, the hesitation, and the conversations that never happen. Ironically, the more someone tries to hide behind carefully chosen words, the more curious she becomes about what's missing. She knows that people can rehearse sentences, polish stories, and create perfect explanations, but it's much harder to hide what they consistently refuse to say. And in those quiet spaces, she often finds the truth everyone else missed. Number 6. They intentionally become boring around manipulative people. A Sigma female knows that manipulators survive on one thing more than anything else: access. They want access to your emotions, your reactions, your secrets, and your attention. Instead of confronting them head-on, she quietly removes the very thing they're looking for. She becomes so ordinary, so predictable, and so emotionally uninteresting that they have nothing to work with. She doesn't overshare. She doesn't react to bait. She doesn't rush to defend herself against false accusations or explain every decision she makes. Her answers become short, her expressions stay calm, and her personal life suddenly becomes a closed book. To an outsider, it may seem like she's become dull overnight. In reality, she's protecting herself. This strategy completely throws manipulative people off balance. They're expecting anger, guilt, excitement, or curiosity, anything they can use to keep the game going. Instead, they're met with someone who refuses to play. Without emotional reactions to feed on, their tactics begin to lose power. The strange part is that she doesn't do this with everyone. Around people she trusts, she's thoughtful, funny, expressive, and full of personality. The boring version only appears when she senses someone is trying to control, provoke, or study her for the wrong reasons. People often mistake this behavior for shyness or a lack of confidence. The truth is far more calculated. She understands that not every battle is won by fighting. Sometimes the smartest move is to become so uninteresting to the wrong people that they eventually walk away and look for an easier target. Number 7. They secretly measure people's ability to handle being wrong. A Sigma female has a habit that catches almost no one's attention. She isn't impressed by how intelligent someone sounds or how confidently they speak. Instead, she quietly watches what happens when they are proven wrong. That single moment tells her more about a person's character than hours of conversation ever could. Some people become defensive, others blame everyone else, some change the subject, make excuses, or pretend the mistake never happened. Then there are the rare few who simply admit, "I was wrong," learn from it, and move forward. To a Sigma female, that kind of honesty is worth more than 100 clever opinions. She believes that being wrong isn't the real problem. The real problem is refusing to grow because pride gets in the way. Anyone can make mistakes. What separates strong people from weak ones is how they respond after the truth is staring them in the face. This is why she doesn't rush to admire people who always seem to have the perfect answer. She knows that confidence without humility can become arrogance, and arrogance has a way of blinding people to their own flaws. What confuses everyone is that she rarely points this out. She simply watches, remembers, and quietly adjusts how much trust she places in that person. While others are impressed by charm, titles, or loud opinions, she's paying attention to something much deeper, the ability to choose growth over ego. In her eyes, the strongest people aren't those who never fall. They're the ones who aren't afraid to stand back up with a lesson instead of an excuse. Number 8. They change their mind without feeling embarrassed. One of the most unusual things about a Sigma female is that she isn't emotionally attached to being right. She's attached to discovering what's true. If new facts, better experiences, or deeper understanding prove her wrong, she doesn't see it as losing. She sees it as growing. This completely confuses people. One day she believes something with confidence, and weeks later she calmly says, "I've changed my mind." No long explanation, no defending her old opinion, no pretending she always believed the new one. Her ego simply isn't tied to outdated ideas. Most people struggle with this because changing their mind feels like admitting weakness. They worry about what others will think or whether they'll look inconsistent. A Sigma female sees it differently. To her, refusing to grow just to protect your pride is the real weakness. She would rather update her thinking than spend years defending a belief that no longer makes sense. That takes a level of confidence many people never develop. Ironically, this is why some people call her unpredictable. They can't understand how someone can change direction so easily. But she isn't changing because she's confused. She's changing because she's paying attention. She knows that life keeps teaching new lessons, and holding on to old opinions simply because they're familiar only slows you down. To a Sigma female, intelligence isn't measured by how often you're right. It's measured by how willing you are to let the truth reshape you. While others protect their ego, she protects her ability to learn, and in the long run, that mindset allows her to grow while everyone else stays exactly where they are. Number 9, they judge energy before personality. One of the strangest things about a Sigma female is that she pays attention to how someone makes her feel long before she decides whether she likes them. Most people are drawn to charm, confidence, humor, or good looks. She notices something far less obvious. She asks herself one silent question. What happens to the atmosphere whenever this person walks into a room? She has learned that some people leave others feeling lighter, calmer, and more at peace without saying much at all. Others can be funny, attractive, and incredibly charismatic, yet somehow every conversation with them feels exhausting. There's always drama, tension, competition, or emotional confusion following close behind. A Sigma female doesn't ignore that feeling. She trusts it. She understands that personality can be polished. People can rehearse jokes, perfect their manners, and create an impressive image. But the energy they consistently bring into other people's lives is much harder to fake. Over time, it always reveals itself. That's why she sometimes distances herself from people everyone else seems to admire. While others are fascinated by appearances, she's paying attention to the emotional trail they leave behind. Does this person bring clarity or confusion? Peace or pressure? Stability or chaos? To outsiders, her choices don't always make sense. They wonder why she avoids someone who seems so likable or chooses the quiet person everyone overlooks. But a Sigma female has learned one important lesson. The people you spend the most time with slowly shape your mind, your habits, and even your future. Before she welcomes someone into her life, she pays attention to what they consistently bring with them. and that tells her far more than their personality ever could. Number 10. They watch how people behave when nobody needs them. A Sigma female believes that a person's true character is easiest to see when the spotlight disappears. It's not difficult to be kind when everyone is watching, helpful when compliments are flowing, or generous when there's something to gain. The real test begins when the applause stops and nobody is expecting anything from them. This is why she quietly watches what people do after they lose their influence, popularity, or importance. Does the successful person remain humble after the promotion? Does the generous friend still help others when there's no recognition? Does someone still treat people with respect when they have nothing to gain in return? These moments matter to her because they reveal habits, not performances. Most people pay attention to how someone behaves during their best moments. A Sigma female pays closer attention to the ordinary ones. She notices how people treat waiters, strangers, co-workers, family members, and those who can't offer them anything. She knows that these small interactions often reveal the real person hiding behind the polished image. This habit often surprises people because she isn't impressed by status, money, or popularity alone. Those things can change overnight. Character is what remains when the titles disappear and the attention fades. That's why she rarely rushes to admire someone just because everyone else does. She waits until life strips away the audience and the rewards. Only then does she decide who a person really is. In her eyes, integrity isn't something you display when the world is watching. It's what quietly remains when no one is looking, and that is the kind of character she respects the most. Number 11. They can sense emotional debt before it exists. A Sigma female has a sharp instinct for something most people don't notice until it's too late. Emotional debt. It doesn't come with a contract or a warning. Instead, it hides behind favors, gifts, constant support, and endless kindness that quietly comes with invisible strings attached. She has learned that not everyone gives because they genuinely care. Some people give because they expect loyalty, obedience, attention, or control in return. At first, everything feels generous, but sooner or later, the sentence appears. After everything I've done for you? The favor suddenly becomes a bill that was always waiting to be collected. This is why a Sigma female is careful about accepting too much from the wrong people. It isn't because she's ungrateful. It's because she values her freedom. She would rather solve her own problems than owe someone who sees kindness as an investment instead of a gift. People often misunderstand this behavior. They think she's distant, overly independent, or even suspicious of good intentions. What they don't realize is that experience has taught her a powerful lesson. The most expensive things in life are sometimes the ones that were offered for free. When someone gives without expecting anything back, she deeply appreciates it. But when generosity feels like a silent transaction, she notices it almost immediately. She understands that real kindness doesn't keep score, doesn't demand repayment, and doesn't use guilt as a collection agency. That's why she protects her peace by recognizing emotional debt before it quietly becomes emotional control. Number 12. They instantly notice who changes after gaining power. A Sigma female pays close attention to one moment that most people completely overlook, the moment someone gains power. It could be a promotion at work, a leadership role, a growing social media following, or simply becoming the most admired person in a group. She knows that success doesn't always change people. More often, it reveals parts of them that were hidden all along. She watches carefully. Does the person become more respectful or more arrogant? Do they start treating certain people as if they're beneath them? Do they suddenly forget the friends who stood by them before the success arrived? These small changes tell her everything she needs to know. Most people are impressed by achievement. A Sigma female is more interested in what achievement does to someone's character. She believes that kindness shown from a position of power is far more meaningful than kindness shown when everyone is equal. This is why she rarely gets carried away by someone's title, wealth, or popularity. She's patient. She waits to see whether success makes them more humble or more entitled. In her experience, that answer says far more than their accomplishments ever could. People are often surprised by how quickly she distances herself from someone who lets power inflate their ego. She understands that arrogance has a way of growing quietly, one small decision at a time. To her, the strongest people are not those who gain power, but those who remain the same person after gaining it. That kind of self-control earns her respect because it's far rarer than success itself. If there's one thing this video makes clear, it's that Sigma females aren't confusing because they're trying to be mysterious. They confuse people because they see the world through a different lens. While others react, they observe. While others chase approval, they chase clarity. While others are busy creating an image, they focus on building character. Their habits may seem strange on the surface, but underneath them is a mindset shaped by self-awareness, independence, and quiet confidence. The truth is, many of these behaviors are misunderstood because they don't fit the rules most people follow. Not everyone will understand a Sigma female, and honestly, not everyone is meant to. Some people spend their lives trying to fit in. A Sigma female spends hers making sure she never loses herself. That's a very different way to live, and it's exactly why she leaves such a lasting impression wherever she goes. So, how many of these traits did you recognize? Were you surprised by any of them, or did some describe you perfectly? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. If you enjoyed this video and want more unique insights into Sigma personalities, psychology, and human behavior, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. If you found this interesting, give it a like and share it with someone who would enjoy it too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.